Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you watching this video. I am Manat Sharma from Oliveboard and I'm here with the live mint analysis that we do every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. What we do is in this class we try to cover the important news articles. We try to discuss them in detail and we also try to link it with the static portion, and at last we do a few MCQs. If there's any relevant question from the current affairs, then I also give a descriptive question. Okay? Just let me know in the comment section whether my audio and video is clear so that we can have the class in a smooth and continuous manner. Good morning, Bhakti, Shalom. Good morning to all of you. Also, before I begin, if you want to download this YouTube class PDF, you can do it from the Oliveboard app. Just go to the courses section. There's going to be a separate YouTube class PDFs folder. You can download the PDF from here. And those of you who are new here, want to connect with me on Telegram, then Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. Okay, just type Mannat Educator and you will have access to my Telegram account. Let's take a look at what are we going to cover today. Firstly, key world leaders skip talks before COP30. So we're going to understand what COP30 is and what conference of parties is. And COP30 is going to be scheduled for Brazil. So we're going to take see what this article says. Then no free lunch, but RBI to cut stability cost. So here we're going to discuss the trade-off between stability and efficiency and what this means. Okay, there might be a question that can be asked in your descriptive answer writing related to this. Then India needs big banks to fund a fast growing economy. This was a statement by Nirmala Sitharaman that if we want our economy to grow at a fast pace, then we need big Indian banks. That means our banking system should be robust and that framework should be improved. Then SEBI to revamp short selling framework. We are going to understand what short selling is. Okay, and after around 2 decades, RBI is revamping this framework. So we're going to discuss about that. Then CAG puts railway freight share target under scanner. So we're going to understand, related to railway freight share and why is it a target under the scanner. Okay, why is CAG putting an audit on this? Then services growth at a 5 month low in October. Okay, we're going to understand the growth of the services sector. We'll understand what PMI is. Okay, then India New Zealand free trade agreement can boost trade tenfold to $20 billion. We're going to understand the uh, details of this India New Zealand free trade agreement, and we're also going to understand what free trade agreement means. Okay, then India pushes trade talks with Peru and Chile. So we're going to understand the trade agreements between Peru and Chile also, a few basic details. E-trucks, buses to get a finance push. And India looks to tank up strategic oil stocks. So we're going to also understand what strategic petroleum reserves mean. Okay, that what are strategic petroleum reserves and how many are present in the country. This is also important. Okay, so let us start with our session. Firstly, key world leaders skip talks before COP30 in Brazil. So COP30 is going to be conducted in which country? Brazil. Okay, you have to remember this. Sometimes direct question can be asked. Okay. Now this article discusses about this climate summit COP30, which is going to be held in Belém, Brazil. Belém, Brazil. Remember it. Okay. Good morning, Rachna. The event faces a lukewarm response. So this article discusses about this summit, which is going to be held in Belém, Brazil, and the focus is going to be on global warming and implementing Paris Agreement goals. Now, in your ESI portion, in environmental organizations is very important. Environmental protocols and all is very important. If you've studied from me, then we have covered this. If you're going to study, we're going to cover such agreements or not. Right, so Paris Agreement is such agreement which was signed in 2015 related to climate change, related to limiting the greenhouse gas emissions. Paris Agreement से पहले we had the Kyoto Protocol, ठीक है, Kyoto Protocol, and then we have the Paris Agreement in 2015. Before that, before Paris Agreement, we had the Kyoto Protocol. So Paris Agreement is kind of the revamped version of Kyoto Protocol. ठीक है. So now this this Paris Agreement, there are certain goals that have been put forth that we have to meet such goals in order to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. And to meet up these goals, there is this conference of parties which is held. This is a group of countries which meet together and discuss that what should be the future response, what is the what are the problems that we are facing, how should funding, climate funding and all be done related to that. Okay, fine. So China's president and India's prime minister, they are not attending in person, and Trump has also withdrawn from the US Paris agreement, which is going to be uh, you know uh, which is going to be finalized in January 27. These are the major absentees from this event. Okay. Now, UNFCCC is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Okay, it has a universal membership. Parent treaty over here we are talking about is the Paris Agreement, and the aim is to keep global average temperature rise this century as close as possible to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this is the major aim of the Paris Agreement, that we have to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions so that the average temperature does not increase of the world, and so that we can maintain it to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels only. Because if we increase beyond it, global warming is going to increase and it is going to lead to climate change, which is going to be very harmful for all, for the entire world. Okay. And UNFCCC is also the parent treaty for this Kyoto Protocol in 1997. So after Kyoto Protocol, the revamped version is 2015 Paris Agreement. Now what is this COP? COP is the decision making supreme decision making body of the convention. ठीक है? So conference of parties, they meet together to discuss about what should be done and how should we go about it, how should the climate financing be done. All states that are parties to the convention are represented at the COP. ठीक है? They review the implementation of the convention and any other legal instruments. The first COP meeting, it was held in Berlin in Germany in March 1995, and 2002 में COP 8 was held in New Delhi, wherein we brought in the Delhi Declaration. ठीक है? These are a few basic points that you should know. So what is the role of Brazil here? We have Brazilian President Lula da Silva. He will host the summit and participate in discussions related to forest preservation, energy transition, financing, climate initiatives. So MCQ can be that what is going to be the major focus on this COP 30. So you have to you have to remember these. Fine. Then more than 50 heads of state and government ministers are expected to come. Around 190 members are sending representatives, but fewer than 60 top level officials, presidents, PMs, ministers, they are likely to attend. So basically, they are sending government ministers, but major ministers like we have prime minister, the major cabinet ministers, presidents, they might not, attend the meeting. Okay, which shows that countries are not very serious with this. Right, so Paris Agreement was signed in 2015, and today if you see the momentum and optimism have faded. If you see US is trying to withdraw from such agreements, and this momentum has faded, and there is a sense of urgency to struggle. There's a sense of urgency and struggle to meet these climate targets. Our goal is basically to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels, and this has become out of reach. We are not able to fulfill these goals. ठीक है? Fine, so what is the way forward? That the leaders summit before COP 30 serves mainly as a prelude to the official negotiations. That before we move on to the official negotiations, let's meet and discuss a little about this. Okay? So I hope that this is clear. All those who have already done and are preparing for phase 2, please revise your Paris Agreement, your Kyoto Protocol, all these protocols and all. You might get a question related to this. Fine. Then second news, no free lunch, but RBI to cut stability cost. Now what this news is? The aim is RBI's aim is to promote innovation and efficiency in the financial system, and also safeguarding financial stability. See, on one side we have financial stability. है ना? That means we need to take less risks. That means there should be less volatility. On the other side, we have innovation and efficiency. We have innovation, you can say. But for innovation, we have to take risk. For innovation, we have to take risk. Okay? There's going to be volatility also. So, how to focus on innovation and how to maintain financial stability? There is a trade off between the two. Rachna, why Trump withdrew is because of, you can say, political concerns. ठीक है, he is a hardcore capitalist. He believes in capitalism, hardcore capitalism, and he refuses to understand what implications are there on the environment. He says environment kuch nahi hota. ठीक है, we just have to focus on economic growth, focus on that. That is his ideology. So whenever he comes into power, this is the first thing that he does, getting away from international agreements that focus on climate change, that focus on environmental protection. Okay, so there's no concrete uh, what do you say, justification to why Trump withdraws from such kind of international organizations related to the environment. It's just that he does not consider it as important as economic growth. Okay, so I hope it is clear, Rachna. Just let me know if it is clear. So this let's move back to this news. So there is a trade off between attaining financial stability and innovating. So that is what RBI governor is saying, that that every regulatory change has a cost, and the central bank's goal is to minimize the stability cost. Okay, fine. So there are no free lunches. That is what Sanjay Malhotra says. Enhancing stability comes with its own cost. That if you want to enhance stability, you will have to do it at the cost of innovation. Okay, there's a trade-off between stability and efficiency. If you try to maintain stability, there's going to be less efficiency, there's going to be less risk, there's going to be less innovation. And if you try to bring in innovation, then stability is going to hamper a little bit. So we have to strike the right balance between the two. Okay, regulations are designed to protect systemic health without stifling innovation and growth. So we need to have systemic health of the banking sector, and we need to have stability, but we also have to focus on innovation. Okay, the governor cautioned that short term growth achieved at the expense of stability could have bigger long term consequences. So we should think before, we should think before discussing, or you should think before taking up any decision. Okay? Then, then over 20 regulatory proposals were announced in October. So to improve stability and maintain this balance between stability and efficiency, 20 regulatory proposals were announced in October to improve banking competitiveness, credit flow, ease of doing business, consumer satisfaction, foreign exchange management, rupee internationalization. Okay? And RBI's approach is incremental and cautious. We're taking step by step, a step moving. We don't want to. We don't want to bring in drastic shifts, but we want to move gradually. Okay? Fine. So whenever RBI eases restrictions, it ensures sufficient guardrails to maintain prudence. That means even if it is easing any kind of restrictions, it is going to ensure sufficient counterbalances. Okay. Fine. So RBI's policy direction emphasizes balanced and gradual reform. So RBI, what does it focus on? कि abrupt reforms नहीं होने चाहिए. Gradually, slow, steady reforms should be there. ठीक है? Then India needs big banks to fund a fast growing economy. So this is kind of a solution which you can mention in your answers also. Okay, so there was this SBI Banking and Economics Conclave by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. She emphasized the need for large world class banks in India to fund the growing capital needs of a rapidly expanding economy. She said that we need to have large banks. Okay, we need to have world class banks in India to fund the growing capital needs. The government plans to expand and consolidate the banking sector. Okay? That means we have some large banks. We need to merge them, amalgamate them, so that we can have world class banks which can be at the global level also. Because if you see our banking system is quite robust, but it is robust domestically. Okay? It is robust domestically. At the international level, if you see, there's no bank from India which is in the top 30 as of now at the global level, hai na? So we need to move towards this thing. We need to have our banks should be large enough to be functioning at the global level. Okay? So she noted that big banks are essential to support India's global financial aspirations. Big banks are required. Large banks are needed. So there's a renewed push for consolidation. We need to merge existing lenders to form stronger banking entities. We need to merge. For example, we have two large banks. We need to focus on their mergers so that we can have one huge, large bank which functions at the global level. Okay? And she also stressed the importance of creating an ecosystem where new banks can also operate and grow, ensuring a dynamic competitive banking environment. So it's not that you bring in large banks and बाकी के लिए competition ही हट जाए. Not like that. ठीक है? Then she emphasizes on government and RBI's collaboration. So both have to collaborate together to move towards achieving the goals, to move towards India's banking evolution. ठीक है? So government and RBI, they are meeting together, exploring any kind of merger if it is possible, creating new institutions if possible, strengthening financial capacity. ठीक है? And she underlined the need for a more dynamic banking landscape so that there's rapid credit growth also, infrastructure investment is also there, economic expansion is also there. है ना? So we need an environment which is conducive to innovation, scale, and resilience. ठीक है, and India has already undergone two major waves of public sector bank mergers. We've seen in 2017 wherein SBI absorbed its associate bank. So this was one major kind of a merger. And 2019, 10 public sector banks merged into four large entities. So we have already seen two phases of these, public sector bank mergers. Now we need to have more mergers also. ठीक है? Because of this consolidation, the number of state-run banks reduced from 27 to just 12. So right now, how many public sector banks are there? Just 12. The government aims to go beyond amalgamation and wants further reforms to improve efficiency, competitiveness, capital strength. ठीक है? So if we want to increase our economic growth, we need large banks. That is what Nirmala Sitharaman says. ठीक है? Next is SEBI to revamp short selling framework. Can anyone in the comment section tell me what is the meaning of short selling? Anybody? What is the meaning of short selling? Any idea? What is the answer? Anyone? What is short selling? There was this news a few, last 2 3 years, and even this year we saw that Adani was scrutinized, है ना, by this short selling firm Hindenburg, है ना? I hope you remember this news that there was this Hindenburg, which was a short selling organization, है ना? Adani was scrutinized. Hindenburg put allegations on Adani that allegations were related to stock manipulation. So now it has been cleared that no, Adani was not involved, but Adani's shares and also slumped a lot during that period, है ना? So Hindenburg is what? A short selling firm. What is the meaning of short selling? Sell first, buy later, profit from falling markets, borrow shares of a stock and immediately sell them, betting that the price will drop. Short selling means selling a share first at a high price and buying it later at a lower price to earn profit. Okay. See, short selling is basically what you do is that is not your own fund. What you do is you borrow shares or securities from someone else. ठीक है? So you are basically trading in borrowed securities. ठीक है? So you have borrowed securities from someone else. What you're doing is short selling. Short selling means you sell it right now and you hope that in the future the price will fall. You're going to buy back that security later and give it back to the person you borrowed it from. So what you've done is you have borrowed from A. You have borrowed the securities from A. Say the price is right now at 1000. You right now sell it at 1000, है ना? You earn 1000 rupees and you hope that you're going to buy it at a lesser price. Say 800 rupees pay you buy. So 200 rupees is your profit and 800 pay you give it back to this person A. So you are using borrowed funds, you're using borrowed securities to trade and earn a profit. That is what is known as short selling. ठीक है? So So SEBI is preparing for a major overhaul of short selling and securities lending and borrowing mechanism, SLBM framework. So SEBI is bringing in a short selling and securities lending and borrowing mechanism framework. Okay, this is the first major revamp. Nearly 2 decades later, we are bringing in a framework for short selling and securities lending. Okay, securities lending and borrowing mechanism. So short selling is related to what? You borrow it, then you sell it and buy it at a less price, earn that profit, and then give it back to the person you have borrowed from. Okay. Now, what is the objective of this overhaul? Why is RBI bringing in, why is SEBI bringing in such reforms? So that, SEBI wants to enhance price discovery mechanisms, reduce settlement stress, strengthen the link between cash equities, derivatives market. Okay, so we basically want to align Indian regulations with global standards. That is why. Rachna, see, what happens is, for example, there is this person A who owns some shares or any kind of securities in the stock market. Okay? If I am a short selling firm, if I am a short selling firm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow from the. Ab A के पास this stock, A has this stock of shares and securities. What you do is you tell A कि यार I want to borrow these securities from you. Don't worry, you won't have a loss. I just want to borrow it for some time. ठीक है, I will borrow this these share securities from A for some time. I am going to sell it in the market at say rupees 1000 per share, for example. ठीक है, ठीक है, I sell it right now. I get the money. I get the money. ठीक है, for example, there are 10 shares of 1000 rupees each, so I earn 10,000 rupees. ठीक है. Now this share value, for example, has decreased to 800 rupees per share. So now I have sold it already and now it is 8,000 rupees. Now I only have to pay 8,000 rupees to buy the same amount of shares. So pehle I sold it for 10,000, now I can buy it for 8,000. So 2,000 is my profit. Short selling firm ka profit is 2,000 rupees. ठीक है? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give back these shares to A. So 2,000 तो मेरा profit हो गया and A has also received back the shares and securities without earning anything. अभी A has not attained any loss, but short selling firm has gained. ठीक है रचना, I hope this is clear. So it is like you are a firm and you are borrowing securities, then trading in the stock market, earning profit, and then giving it back to the original owner of the securities. This is what is called short selling. So SEBI is bringing in a framework for this short selling. ठीक है? So basically we want to align with global best practices. That is why plus in India our SLBM framework is underdeveloped. We want to develop it further. There are structural constraints also, for example, limited stock availability for lending. People do not really lend their stock. So from where to borrow if people are not willing to lend the stock, है ना? Then operational bottlenecks also. Then conservative risk management norms, keeping borrowable supply low. So people are risk averse also. They don't want to take risk. And there's obviously a lot of risk here, है ना? ठीक है, so SEBI plans to introduce a closing auction framework, a process for determining a stock's final closing price at the end of the trading day. So what happens is when you trade in the stock market at the end of the day, there is kind of a final closing price. So SEBI is saying that we might bring in a auction framework to close the price of a stock. सारा दिन trade कर लिया and at the end of the day we need to SEBI is trying to bring in an auction framework that what should be the final price we are going to bid, who who wants to bid for this much price for this particular stock. ठीक है, this framework will consolidate buy and sell orders, reduce end of day volatility, improve price discovery, allow large investors to execute trades more efficiently. ठीक है. SEBI will also undertake a review of listing obligations and disclosure requirement regulations of 2015. Now, from your exam point of view, especially those who are preparing for SEBI, these regulations are going to be important when these will be revamped. So, we might get the regulations soon. So, this will be important. Again, the aim is to ensure timely and transparent disclosures by the listed firm. So, what are these regulations related to? That transparency should be maintained by the listed firms who are listed in the stock market, in the stock exchange. ठीक है? Mutual fund regulations also, there might be mutual fund regulations also, and trading mechanisms might be enhanced to improve market stability, investor confidence. ठीक है? I hope this news is clear. I just wanted to explain you the meaning of short selling over here. I hope that is clear to all of you. Then CAG puts railways freight share target under scanner. So Comptroller and Auditor General of India, the major audit firm in the country, it has uh, the government sector audit, is done through this Comptroller and Auditor General. It has initiated a series of performance audits of the Indian Railways freight transport system. So on Indian Railways, CAG has put in an audit. ठीक है, the aim is to assess whether government's investments and modernization efforts under PM Gati Shakti have resulted in measurable cost reductions and improved efficiency. So what is this audit for? We have the scheme PM Gati Shakti. I am giving you a homework here. You have to read about this PM Gati Shakti plan. ठीक है, and in the comment section, those who know, write down in the comment section and tell me in just one line, what is the importance of this PM Gati Shakti plan? What is this PM Gati Shakti plan? What is this PM Gati Shakti plan? Basically, why is this audit being conducted? To see whether the implementation of this PM Gati Shakti plan have resulted in improved efficiency or not. Has it reduced cost? Has it improved efficiency or not? ठीक है? Fine. The audit will cover multimodal transport logistics, digital procurement systems, green transport initiatives, suburban train services. Rahul Agarwal is saying synergy. Synergy what? Gati Shakti plan is for what? Pradhan Mantri or Prime Minister Gati Shakti plan. See, Gati Shakti plan is basically we want to reduce the logistics cost है ना, in the transport sector, or you can say in the infrastructure sector. You want to improve infrastructure, we need to improve transport, we need to reduce logistics cost. Now, what is the meaning of logistic cost? The time taken to from this warehouse, for example, this is the warehouse where the product has been made or the product has been stored. The time taken to bring this product from this place to the retail sector or to the final consumers, that is logistic cost. Okay, the time taken to transport, you can say, to transport a product from the source to the destination, that is known as logistics plan. अब जितने ज़्यादा it is going to take, the more time it is going to take, the more cost it is going to take to move goods from one place to another, the higher will be the logistic cost. And the logistics cost in India is very very high because of lack of proper infrastructure, bad roads and all है ना. And we need to reduce this logistic cost. ठीक है, we need to reduce this logistic cost, and for that we have PM Gati Shakti plan. I want you guys to read about this PM Gati Shakti plan. This is your homework. ठीक है, Adi, Rahul, everybody, I hope this is clear. ठीक है, fine. So CAG seeks to determine whether modernization initiatives, we've brought in some modernizing initiatives, we've brought in some logistic investments, we've brought in some changes in the PM Gati Shakti plan. So have they reduced the logistic costs or not? Have they improved freight mobility or not? Has it enhanced interministerial coordination or not? ठीक है, audit will also evaluate the integration and data sharing among railways, road transport and highways, ports and shipping. ठीक है, Department of Industry and Internal Trade. So are they coordinating with each other or not? ठीक है, according to National Council of Applied Economic Research study as of September 2023, if you see, India's logistics cost stood at 7.97% of GDP in financial year 24, down from 8.9% earlier. So yes, we have seen a reduction, but this is still very high. This cost is very very high than the developed economies. In developed economies, logistic cost is around 2 to 3%, and if you see here, ours is around 7.97%, which is a lot. MSMEs continue to face high logistic costs. ठीक है, such kind of statements are very important. If you get a descriptive question related to logistic logistics, or what is the government doing, or related to PM Gati Shakti plan. Sometimes you get from scheme also, है ना? So you can write such statements. We have this National Rail Plan 2030 goals also. Under this plan, Indian Railway targets raising freight model share to 45%. Okay, it is around 27% right now. We want to increase it to 45%. We want to increase average freight train speed to 50 km per hour. The CAG audit will assess whether these targets are achievable and progressing as planned or not. Okay? So if you see, this is the data that you have to remember. Directly in the MCQ also can be asked, what is the logistics cost as of now? It is 7.97% of GDP as of financial year 24. Freight model share target is 45% by 2030. Average freight train speed target is 50 km per hour. Audit completion timeline, by 2026, the audit is going to be completed. Okay? CAG has also formed an integrated audit group with experts from railways, ports, infrastructure audit divisions. We have this railway audit wing along with IIM Mumbai, which are going to conduct the detailed performance. Okay? There's an example which has been cited in the news about this Damodar Valley Corporation coal movement. Coal was extracted from mines. It needs to be loaded on trucks, unloaded at railway rakes, reloaded, because of which inefficiencies were created. है ना? So we need to focus and reduce these logistical inefficiencies. Okay? Then next news we have services growth at 5-month low in October as exports fall. Now, according to the Purchasing Managers Index, this is the Purchasing Managers Index that we are talking about over here. According to this PMI, services sector growth has reduced. It is at a 5-month low. Can anyone tell me what is this Purchasing Managers Index? In the comment section, tell me what is this PMI. Because every month we have a news related to PMI, related to services sector, manufacturing sector, है ना? So anybody who would want to tell me what is this Purchasing Managers Index? Till you're writing in the comment section, let's just cover the news. So India's services sector growth slowed in October, reaching 5-month low after hitting a 15-year peak in August. So in August, our services growth increased a lot, but now we have seen a 5-month low. Why is the slowdown? Because there is weaker new business growth, declining export demand, rising global competition. These are the reasons. Okay? And these findings are based on HSBC Purchasing Managers Index. Less than 50, there is a potential downfall. Okay, producers expectations of the market for the future, right? PMI एक इंडेक्स है जो बताता है इकोनॉमी के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और सर्विसेज सेक्टर में ग्रोथ हो रही है या गिरावट. Exactly. This talks about the procurement. See, when we talk about Purchasing Managers Index, what do is we do a survey. We conduct a survey from the businessmen, from the industrialists. We ask them ki bhai, what do you think? What is going to be the momentum? What is the business confidence? Okay? What is the business confidence? We take their review. We take the review of the purchasing managers. Okay? Those who purchase, the managers who do the purchasing and all. We conduct a survey from these businessmen. Okay? If the value is greater than 50, that means they think that there's going to be expansion in the economy. If the value is less than 50, then there is an anticipated contraction or a downfall. If value is equal to 50, then it is neutral. No contraction, no expansion. We are going to remain at this level only. That is what is your PMI. Now, this Purchasing Managers Index is calculated for both the services sector as well as the manufacturing sector. Okay, fine. So if you see October 25 PMI 58.9, September PMI 60.9, August PMI 62.9. So if you see that from August May it was 62.9, well above 50, so expansion. If you see, very very high. Then in September, it reduced to a little bit more, 60.9, reduced than before, relatively less than before, but it is greater than 50, so it is expansion only. Then if you see in October, 58.9, so relatively it has reduced from 60.9, but it is greater than 50 only, which shows expansion. Relatively, there is a slow growth, but growth is happening, but at a slow pace. ठीक है? Fine. What are the reasons for the slowdown? Because of soft export demand. We know that our exports have reduced. Majorly, these exports have reduced because of US tariffs. Also, there's so much geopolitical uncertainty, है ना? So soft export demand, weather and seasonal effects are there. Heavy rains disrupted operations, limited business activity. Right? Competitive pressures, increased competition in key sectors such as IT, outsourcing, financial services. Then external risks, global policy uncertainties, the impact of US president trade stance also, है ना? Tariffs and all. Then what are the domestic factors affecting growth? Demand buoyancy and GST relief measures continue to support activity but were offset by supply side challenges. Demand buoyancy matlab, what is the meaning of demand buoyancy? That demand is good enough. Demand is good. We have brought in GST relief measures also, but the problem is from the supply side. Challenges are from the supply side, not from the demand side. ठीक है? So there's slower expansion. Expansion is there, but at a slow pace. Input cost, selling prices rose at a more measured pace. है ना? ठीक है? Then this PMI survey, HSBC India Services PMI, it covers around 400 companies. 400 companies across consumer services, transport, information and communication, finance and insurance, real estate and business services. So around 400 companies we survey them. ठीक है? Fine. So this was your news. Then we have another news related to India New Zealand free trade agreement, which can boost trade tenfold to $20 billion. So we are talking about a free trade agreement. Can anyone in the comment section tell me what is the meaning of free trade agreement? Acha, I have taken up a session on YouTube related to types of agreements. For example, bilateral trade agreement, or, what are preferential trade agreements, what are free trade agreements, what is SEPA, what is CECA, what is economic union, what is custom union, and what is common market. I have taken up all these types of trade agreements. ठीक है, you are going to check that class on YouTube. I will share the link on my Telegram channel. ठीक है, just type Mannat Educator. I have recently shared it only, but I'll share it again. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. You can connect with me here. I will share the link of this class in the Telegram group. ठीक है, you have to attend this because this becomes important. This will really help you in understanding the news and all. ठीक है, so there's a proposed India New Zealand free trade agreement which has a potential to increase the bilateral trade tenfold from $2 billion to $20 billion. ठीक है, because of this free trade agreement, trade will be boosted. ठीक है, projection follows significant progress in these ongoing FTA negotiations. ठीक है, what are free trade agreements? Basically, okay, Aditya has given me the answer. Trade without restriction and without tariffs eliminates trade barriers like tariff quota, other restrictions to ease the trading between the countries. Yes, Darshan, right? So, free trade agreements, what you do is that you try to reduce tariffs as much as possible. Try to move towards a freer trade wherein tariffs, custom duties, and all are reduced. Okay? These are arrangements between two or more trading countries or trading blocks that agree to reduce or eliminate customs tariff or non-tariff barriers. Okay, so that there can be more and more trade between the countries, right? Now there are different types of trade agreements. We have preferential trade agreement, free trade agreement, CEPA, custom union, CECA, and a common market economic union. I am not going to explain it over here because I have taken a full-fledged class, and the link of the class I'm going to share in the Telegram group. ठीक है? ठीक है? Then India New Zealand FTA negotiations began in March 25, and within 7 months the two sides have reached the fifth round, and finally we have the fifth round is expected to conclude. It was expected to conclude 7th November. Abhi tak it has not been concluded. We are going to understand. Okay, we are going to see what are the what are the changes, what are the important aspects of the free trade agreement. ठीक है, so Indian firms will operate in New Zealand and New Zealand firms will invest and collaborate in India, so there's going to be more opportunities for businesses. ठीक है, It is going to boost trade tenfold to $20 billion. Okay, we are going to facilitate two-way investment flows. Manufacturing and technology partnerships are going to improve. Both countries are encouraging mutual investments. For example, an Indian New Zealander entrepreneur is setting up a manufacturing unit in India for AI enabled mattresses and beds. This is an example of how businesses are going to be boosted. FTA aims to enable freer movement of capital and talent, promoting innovation driven collaboration. ठीक है? In what sectors are we going to collaborate? Science, innovation, farm technology, and majorly we are going to help Indian farmers increase productivity, promote agriculture modernization, and technology exchange. ठीक है? What is the significance? You want to expand the global trade footprint, attract high quality investments. For New Zealand, it offers access to large and fast growing Indian market. है ना? New Zealand will have access to our market. FTA is seen as a win-win framework for both of these, and it is going to strengthen innovation, agriculture, technology. It is going to lead to mutual growth and trade. ठीक है? Then next news is related to talks with Peru and Chile. Just like we have a free trade agreement with New Zealand, we are also discussing with Peru and Chile and trying to diversify our export market. So if you see, US has put in a lot of tariffs on our country. So what is our focus? That we are diversifying our export markets. We are trying to increase our exports and facilitate trade with different markets. Okay, the initiative underscores India's efforts to strengthen ties with Latin American countries, Latin American economies. Okay, so what are the details of India-Peru trade agreement? The ninth round of India-Peru trade agreement negotiations, it took place in Lima, Peru, from 3rd to 5th November. What were the discussions related to? Trade in goods and services, rules of origin. Rules of origin matlab, from where has the product been from where has the product been originated? That means what sometimes happens is that product might have originated from China, है ना? And India does not have an agreement with China, यानी कि China पे 50% tariffs will be there, for example, but China tries to divert the product through Vietnam, है ना? And India and Vietnam have a trade agreement that we have reduced our tariffs from 50 to 20%. So China can reroute the trade via Vietnam and sell its product in India to cut off this 50% tariff. है ना? So here comes the concept of rule of origin, that when we see any kind of import, whenever we talk about exports, whenever we talk about imports, if you want to import from say Vietnam, we are going to check that where has the product first been originated. If it is originated from China, then we are going to put in 50% tariff only. If not, then only 20% tariff will be applicable. So these are rules of origin. ठीक है? So who is the original maker of the product? Then discussions were related to customs procedures also, technical barriers to trade, dispute settlement mechanisms, critical minerals. ठीक है? And the final talks are scheduled for January 26. Then India-Chile trade agreement. They are focusing on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, SEPA. ठीक है? So you guys have to check out the video again. I'm telling you to understand what is the difference between FTA, PTA, SEPA, CECA. See, these negotiations were held in Santiago in Chile. ठीक है? What were the talks related to? Investment promotion, how to promote investments, related to intellectual property rights, trade in goods and services, rules of origin, critical minerals. ठीक है? Fine. So India's Commerce Ministry stated that the pact would create new opportunities for which all sectors, pharmaceuticals, critical minerals, automobiles, textiles, food processing, right? ठीक है? So India's outreach to Peru and Chile is part of a broader strategy to deepen ties with Latin America. So we are basically focusing on Latin America as a counter strategy to what tariffs US has been putting on us. ठीक है? ठीक है? No, right now, Nishant, no, I will not be discussing about that. I don't know any rumor related to that. Okay. The result you are going to get it. Just check the official site. Okay. And just prepare for phase 2, Nishant, I would say. Okay. Result will be there in a few days. Okay. It was expected कि 10th 11th November tak the result will be out. And maybe in 1 or 2 days. Let's see if today the result is out or tomorrow. Let's see. Okay. It is expected that today, tomorrow, we are going to get the result. Fine. So our strategy is, that we want to broaden, or we want to deepen ties with Latin America. We want to absorb 20% of India's exports, redirected from US market. Okay. We want to improve our exports by redirecting from US market to other markets. We want to reduce dependence on US exports, especially for pharmaceuticals, engineering goods, textiles, processed foods. Okay. And Latin American economies, particularly Peru and Chile, they possess rich reserves of copper, lithium, other critical minerals. So these are very, very important. This will really help in industrial modernization in our country. It will help in clean energy goals, supply chain diversification strategy also. Right? So the trade deals, they aim to boost bilateral trade and investments, enhance market access and logistics efficiency, foster economic integration and technology exchange, secure critical mineral supply chains. Okay, so this is basically a diversification move of India. Okay. Next news, that e-trucks buses to get a finance push. So we are talking about e-trucks buses. So our major portion is that we want to increase the use of electric vehicles. So government is focusing on an incentive based financing scheme in order to support the purchase of electric trucks and buses. The aim is to tackle one of the biggest challenges in India's green mobility transition: lack of affordable financing to commercial electric vehicles. Plan is developed by Ministry of Heavy Industries, Department of Financial Services. ठीक है? This framework is going to encourage banks and NBFCs that they should lend for EV purchases. So if somebody wants to purchase an electric vehicle, the banks and NBFCs should lend them at lower interest rates. This is being encouraged. Shift the financial burden from upfront capital costs to operational expenses, basically. Okay? Now, why is financing a challenge? What is the problem with financing? Electric buses and trucks, they are 2.5 to 3 times costlier. है ना? EVs, we want to penetrate, we want to improve the use of EVs, but they are costlier. For example, electric bus is 1.1 to 1.25 crore or more. Diesel bus is 25 to 50 lakhs. If you can see this stark difference. So, so what are we saying? That the banks and NBFCs, they should lend them at a lower rate of interest. ठीक है, heavy duty electric trucks, they cost 1 to 1.5 crore compared to 25 to 30 25 to 50 lakh for diesel trucks. So people prefer to take a diesel. ठीक है. Push on buying EV. Why are we focusing on electric vehicles? That people should buy more and more electric vehicles so that we can reduce the pollution. ठीक है. Nishant, the reason is for reducing pollution. Electric vehicles pollute a lot less, ठीक है, than the other petrol and diesel vehicles. सबसे ज़्यादा तो diesel creates pollution, then petrol. EVs are a cleaner version. That is why we are focusing on EVs, to meet our climate goals, to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions. ठीक है, that is the reason, Nishant. Then another challenge is depreciation risk and low resale value. EV batteries, they depreciate faster. ठीक है, there is lack of resale market for these EVs, so you cannot even resell them, है ना? Because of this, risk for lenders is also high, and that is why they also don't lend the money at they also don't provide loans at less rate of interest. Plus there's limited data and market experience, there's limited historical performance data, because EVs, this is a new thing, है ना? So there's no data also. How can we assess the kind of risk, है ना? So interest rates for commercial EVs are 5 to 14 percentage points higher. So if you want to take loan for an EV, you have to pay higher interest rate. So this, reduces and discourages the people from buying EVs. Small players in trucking and bus segments face difficulty securing loans. Okay, lenders are also concerned about battery degradation, uncertain maintenance standards also. Okay, India's commercial EV financing market is expected to grow $2.37 billion in 25 to nearly $20 billion by 2030. And that is why this financing scheme that we are launching, it is going to really improve the penetration of EV market. Lenders at high risk if involved, exactly, Rachna, hai na? So this scheme will really help in reducing dependence on fuel imports. If we focus on EVs, then our fuel imports will also reduce, our import bill will reduce, our foreign exchange will be saved. We will be able to meet our 2070 net zero emissions, है ना, of India. Then promoting green public transport through programs like FAME and PME Drive are a good effort in this direction, right? ठीक है. Then next news is last news for today. India looks to tank up strategic oil stock to boat global price hikes. See what happens is, what are strategic petroleum reserves? The governments, what do is, they buy crude oil, they buy petroleum and stock underground or stock it in different places in the country, so that if there is any crisis, there is any problem, so that if the prices increase a lot in at the international level, there is supply chain crunch, then we can meet our needs from these strategic petroleum reserves. So India is trying to fill these strategic petroleum reserves. ठीक है? So India is taking active steps to expand its strategic petroleum reserves as global oil markets brace for fresh volatility. So in the oil markets at the global level, there is volatility. So to create a hedge against these volatile situations at the international level, because there are tightening supplies, there are geopolitical risks. So that is why we want to secure our energy, India's energy security, and we want to hedge against any kind of future price hike. That is why we are filling up our strategic petroleum reserves. So these SPRs, they are very important in enhancing energy security, because they help in storage of petrol, they help in storage of fuel. ठीक है? So huge stockpiles of crude oil are kept with us, so that if there is any risk of supply chain disruption from any kind of natural disaster, any kind of war, any calamity, then this oil can be used. Okay, so there are 3 underground storage facilities in India. Remember this, learn this. 3 underground storage. Okay, 3 underground storage facilities. One is at Vishakhapatnam, 1.33 million metric tons. Mangalore 1.5 MMT, Padur 2.5 MMT in Karnataka. ठीक है? So how where do we have the 3 underground storage facilities or strategic petroleum reserves? First is in Vishakhapatnam, second is in Mangalore, third is in Padur. ठीक है? We are also trying to set up two additional facilities at Chandikol in Odisha and Padur in Karnataka. Second one in Padur and one in Chandikol. So remember these 5: Vishakhapatnam, Mangalore, Padur, uh, Chandikol in Odisha, and one more is going to be in Padur. So these are 2 additional facilities that we are still making. ठीक है? Fine. Indian Strategic Petrol Reserve Limited, ISPRL, it is a wholly owned subsidiary of Oil Industry Development Board under Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. I hope you've understood the meaning of strategic petroleum reserves and how many are there in India. Okay, if you see the global context, global supply is being tightened. Sanctions are there on Russia's Rosneft and Lukoil, which is effective from 21st November. So, US is putting sanctions on Russian oil also, because of which supplies are going to reduce, because and we take a lot of oil from Russia. So abhi we are trying to take in a lot of oil and filling up our strategic petroleum reserves, so that we do not have a supply crunch, so that we do not have a problem later on. Okay? If you see the current oil market conditions, there is Brent crude which is currently trading below $65 per barrel. Okay, these details don't really matter, but why I mentioned this, because there are types of crude oil also. For example, one type of crude oil is Brent crude oil. So I am giving you a homework here. You have to check out the types of petrol which are available. Okay, fine. From different regions, there are different kinds of crude oil which is available. Okay. So India's current SPR capacity is how much? 5.3 million tons. Right, and India is also focusing on expansion plan. 2 more sites in Padur and Chandikol in Odisha. Okay, we've already seen this. Okay, so this is the data summary that you need to remember. Current SPR capacity 5.3 million tons. There are 3 strategic petroleum reserves: Visakhapatnam, Mangalore, Padur. We are developing 2 more, Chandikol and Padur. ठीक है, stored, how much has been stored as of now? 3.6 million tons we have already stored in our 3 strategic petroleum reserves. How much have we stored? 3.6 million tons. We are trying to expand 2 new reserve sites. And a Brent crude oil below $65 per barrel, if you see the price. And if you see in June, it was $76 per barrel, and this price might even increase further. That is why we are trying to focus on securing our strategic petroleum reserves. ठीक है? Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and ISPRL, they are making fast track procurements. Straight run oil companies, they are also making purchases ताकि फटाफट से they can stock crude oil. ठीक है? Indian refiners are preparing to reduce Russian imports also because US has put in sanctions. कि if you buy crude oil from Russia, then there are going to be sanctions on you. ठीक है? And if you see the economic impact, why are we storing? Because if there is a $1 increase in crude oil prices, it is estimated to add $1.5 billion in the import bill. So our bill will improve. That means if imports increase more than exports, our current account deficit will increase. So we want to basically shield our economy from these external oil shocks, and we want to help stabilize domestic fuel prices. ठीक है? This expansion aligns with India's energy security roadmap. We want to maintain buffer stocks, and we want to focus on energy self-reliance. We want to buy oil at current low prices so that future में we don't need to buy at a higher price. ठीक है? So these were the news articles from the newspaper which were very very important from your exam point of view. We have tried to understand a lot of static portion also. ठीक है? I hope the meaning of some important terms is also clear to all of you. Let's do a few MCQs to see whether you guys have understood or not. First question. Here to match the following, we have this COP session here on left hand side and the host nation. These become very very important. This has not been mentioned in your, we have not discussed this, but this question is there. You need to know that at least previous 5 COP, you need to know where were these held. Start from COP 25 till COP 30. This is your homework. You have to remember this. Okay? Fine. So check out this answer. COP 27, COP 28, COP 29, COP 30, UAE, Egypt, Brazil, Azerbaijan. What is the answer? Try to match these. So what did we see today? है ना? By common sense also you can solve here. We discussed that COP 30 held in is going to be held in Brazil. है ना? So COP 30 is going to be, D is going to be 3. So wherever D is 3, if you see these options, nowhere we have D is equal to 3. So your answer becomes C. ठीक है? Absolutely correct. Rachna, Sudarshan, Abhinav, Shalom. C is the correct answer. COP 27, C is the correct answer. COP 27 held in Egypt. ठीक है? COP 28 in UAE. COP 29 in Azerbaijan. And COP 30 in Brazil. ठीक है? Fine. Second question. Where did 12th edition of SBI Banking and Economics Conclave was held at? New Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Chennai. जहाँ पे Nirmala Sitharaman was saying that we need to have big banks. Where was this 12th edition of SBI Banking and Economics Conclave was held at? Quickly give me the answer. Rachna says B. Sudarshan is saying B. Anybody else? Around 17 students attending the class and very few giving the answer, है ना? Either it is not clear or you do not want to answer. हाँ, absolutely correct. It was held in Mumbai, है ना? Which of the following statements is incorrect regarding framework for short selling by SEBI? The securities traded in FNO segment shall be eligible for short selling. Naked short selling shall not be permitted in the Indian securities market. The brokers shall be mandated to collect the details on script-wise short sell positions. No institutional investor shall be allowed to day trading. Only institutional investor shall be permitted to short sell. You have to identify the incorrect statement over here. See, whenever you get such questions now, always see whether there is an extreme statement in the question or not. Whenever there is going to be extreme statement मतलब ज़्यादा ही, no, absolutely no, only, ऐसे करके when statements are going to be there, that is going to be most likely be wrong. So even if you don't know any kind of topic, you don't know any news, then you can easily solve it by common sense, by eliminating the extreme statements. All of you are saying D, but the correct answer is A. ठीक है? Only institutional investors shall be permitted to short sell. No. ठीक है? This is incorrect. No institutional investor shall be allowed to day trading. This has been mentioned in the reforms. ठीक है? E is the correct answer. Only Bhakti has given me E as the answer here. ठीक है? We are basically talking about short selling over here, है ना? So only institutional investors shall be permitted? No, not only institutional investors. ठीक है? Under the National Rail Plan 2030, the Indian Railways has set a target to raise its freight model share to what level? Under this National Rail Plan, 35%, 40%, 42%, 45%, or 50%? Hanji, what is the answer? Under this National Rail Plan, Indian Railways has set a target to raise its freight model share to what level by the year 2030? Very easy question again. Rachna and Bhakti have given me D as the answer. Anybody else? Ha, Sudarshan Aditya, absolutely correct, 45%. Fifth question. According to the article, HSBC India Services PMI compiled by S&P Global fell to what level in October 2024, October 2025, marking a 5-month low. So, in October 2025, what is services PMI? 57.5, 58.9, 60.9, 62.9, 56.8. Absolutely correct, 58.9. Very good. Consider the following countries: Chile, Peru, Argentina, Bolivia. Which of the following countries are part of the lithium triangle? Lithium triangle A, B, C. See, in South America, there is something known as lithium triangle. Lithium triangle is those countries which are the maximum, you can say, producers, exporters of lithium. They have abundant lithium present. So, which of these countries are part of your lithium triangle? 1, 2, 3 only, 1 and 2 only, 1, 2, 4 only, 2, 3, 4 only, 3 and 4 only. Anybody who would like to guess? I have given you a very nice hint over here. 1, 2, 3, Bhakti is saying, Rachna is saying B option, 1 and 2. Abhinav is also saying B. Lithium triangle. Triangle means that there are three countries which are part of the triangle. And I've written A, B, C also over here. And I gave you a very nice hint over here. The correct answer is 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, and 4. A for Argentina, B for Bolivia, C for Chile. A, B, C. A, B, C बोला मैंने, you could have eliminated this. Peru, है ना? So lithium triangle, these are the three countries. Why I brought this question? So that you can understand. This is also current affairs. Like, in your general awareness for this year, such kind of questions were asked. है ना? Just like in UPSC, वो questions are asked. वैसे in your this RBI exam, GMA, such kind of questions were asked. So lithium triangle A, B, C. Argentina, Bolivia and Chile. ठीक है? Remember this. ठीक है? Next, the proposed India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement has the potential to increase bilateral trade between the two countries from the current level of around dash to dash. 5 billion to 15 billion, 2 billion to 10 billion dollars, 2 billion to 20 billion dollars, 4 billion to 25 billion dollars, 1.5 to 12 billion dollars. We saw a 10-fold increase. After signing this FTA, there might be a 10-fold increase in bilateral trade. Absolutely correct. C option, from $2 billion to $20 billion. Absolutely correct. Eighth question. As per modern intelligence estimates, India's commercial EV financing market is projected to grow from $2.37 billion in 25 to nearly dash by 2030. $20 billion, $12 billion, $15 billion, 10 or $25 billion. Hanji. EV financing market is expected or projected to grow from $2.37 billion in 2025 to nearly dash by 2030. Absolutely correct. $20 billion. Very good. $20 billion. है ना? ठीक है? Consider the following: Vishakhapatnam, Digboi, Kambhat, Padur, Mangalore. Which of the following storage facilities are not part of strategic petroleum reserves? Not. Incorrect statement. ठीक है? 1, 2 and 3 only, 1, 4 and 5 only, 1 and 4 only, all of the above, or 2 and 3 only. Which are not? You have to find out the incorrect. We discussed about 3 SPRs which are currently there, plus 2 more. We are building additional facilities. Hanji, what is the answer? 2 and 3 are not. Digboi and Kambat are not. Absolutely correct. The 3 strategic petroleum reserves, Vishakhapatnam, Padur, Mangalore. The other 2 are Chandikol in Odisha plus one another in Padur. So which is not? Digboi and Kambat. 2 and 3 only. E is the correct answer. Okay? Fine. So that is all from my side, everyone. I hope today's session was fruitful for all of you. I hope you understood the important things that we discussed today. I hope you understood the news. This is how you have to cover the news articles, discussing it in detail, linking it with the static portion, and try to find out that what kind of questions can be asked. Okay? I will share the link of the types of trade agreements on Telegram. You can connect with me over here. If there is any doubt, then just ask me in the comment section. Otherwise, we're going to end the session here, and I will see you all in my next one. Okay, Sudarshan, Rachna. All right, thank you, and have a good day, everyone. All the best to you. Keep studying, and have a great day. Okay, okay, Bhakti. Bye bye.